nearly didn't get my words out there, mate. I'm Rick. John, how are you, mate?
I'm good. If anyone's watching this on YouTube, it's and I start fucking dripping with sweat in here. It's like we're in a bit of a heat wave at the minute. It's like 40 degrees outside. So whilst I do have aircon, this room is fucking roasting. But other than that, we're good. But yeah, it's fucking hot.
That's a first world problem, that, mate. No one.
Yeah, no, it's not a problem. No one's going to really give a fuck. But yeah, it's one of those. The hottest I've known. I mean, LA's always pretty fucking warm, but Jesus, like this. I don't pay attention when I'm live in countries where they'll go, oh, it's a heat wave. You're like, I get the term heat wave in the UK because it's so random and it can be so cold and shit half the time that when it does get really hot, anything hot's like feels like a heat wave, right? When you live somewhere that's always warm and they say heat wave, you're like, well, what the fuck does that mean? And then you step outside and it's like a sauna and you're like, right, okay, that's what that means. Yeah. But no, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I saw you posted. Yeah, I saw you posted the other day that it was roaring hot, and it's beautiful here today. Look at this; I've got a bit of a red face going on, and been out in the sun, getting the old vitamin D in and all that, and everything in sunny England is good. The difference is, it's probably going to rain here tomorrow, and that is a difference amongst many other things between here and LA. But mate, all is good. I've got loads going on. As we touched on last week, I've got first Reset Summit event next Saturday, the 14th.
Wow.
And then 3 weeks after that, so 4 weeks tomorrow, charity boxing nights, big event. And so I'm managing a busy workload at the minute. And
that's two big events, pretty much back to back. Right? I saw that. I didn't realize. I mean, I always know when charity boxing nights is, but I didn't put two and two together, and then I was like, "Shit, you've got within a month those two pretty big events." So, yeah, that's hard work.
Yeah, I'm living at the event team's office at the minute, and but we're kind of when you're in it with one event, you might as well be in it with both. That was the thinking.
Listen to you, the event team.
Oh no, yeah, I've got an events team now.
Events team used to be like a couple of you sat in prep, fucking trying to work out what to do, and it's amazing though. Whilst we haven't really planned what to talk about, today we're a bit off the cuff today, but you just triggered a thought of how much this stuff evolves, and even you in your business, it's funny because because your business is pretty much you and your name, you forget how many people you have behind the scenes, because that's not something you tend to see too much of. You'll show stuff with the boardroom and things like that, but by and large, when you're your business, it's very easy to forget that you do have a team of people that work for you and do things for you, and how much that's grown versus 5 years ago, whereby you were maybe doing most of this stuff on your own. And I think you can get very quickly, you can forget, as hard as it is now, you can almost forget how much harder it was when you didn't have all that. It's just a different hard. Now you're managing different people doing things for you. You're still on top of everything. You're still having to do it all, a lot of stuff yourself as far as organization and control. But it's just I think the misconception that once you've got a big team helping you, that it's easier, is not necessarily as accurate as what people think. Certain things are definitely easier because people are then doing the stuff that you maybe didn't used to like fucking doing, but it just, the hard changes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what you felt that transition's been like, and obviously it's difficult talking about your own business because you don't want to talk about individuals that help you and things like that, whereby it's hard. But what have you noticed that is a shift in that? What do you find more difficult about doing these things now than you did when you were doing a lot of it on your own? And obviously, what's a lot fucking easier?
I think there's a key word here, and I think you've nailed it when you've said it's a different kind of hard. But the word is trust. So you've got to trust the people around you. Equally, you've got you have got to manage them. I've learned that the hard way. It's great to empower people. It's great to give them the room and the space and make your own decisions and do it your way and all that kind of stuff. But if there's still not a bit of a framework there, and if you still don't manage that a little bit, whether that's standards or quality or direction or whatever, if you don't manage it a little bit, it goes fucking chaos.
Yeah.
It's absolute chaos. So I think that's a massive learner, because when it's small and it's just you and you and your mate kind of thing, it's easy to be manage. This is what we want to do. This is how we're going to do it. Blah blah blah. But then when you've got we've got eight in the fitness and training team now for the charity boxing nights. We've got 8 coaches.
Wow.
between fitness training, sparring, and boxing technical training. So eight coaches. So obviously they've all got their own ideas and their own way of doing things. And the boxing guys are 30 odd years ex-pro boxers, really experienced. The fitness guy, Lloyd, who really
well.
well.
I saw the post the other day with those guys getting involved.
Mega experience. And these guys are in their field arguably better than I am. And they would say definitely better than I am. You know what I mean? But so they've got their own take on things and their own way they want to do things. But then equally, you've still got to manage. You've got to trust them that it's good, and I absolutely do. I'm certain that my guys, whether it's on training side of things, event side of things, of which there's 5 in the event team now. Who else is on the night? These, in terms of the delivery, the hotel has 35 staff on the night. Whatever. You have to trust that they're good enough, and if they're not good enough, of course you have to action it. But then equally, you have to give them room. You have to empower them. But then you've also got to make sure that they're doing things in a certain way and a way that you want it doing. So you've got those set of challenges with charity boxing nights, which is a big event, as you know. Then you've got Reset Summit, which is a much smaller event initially. Brand new.
So it gives different
brand
problems.
New. Yeah, it's going to be a concept that I'm definitely going to grow and evolve over 3 to 5 plus years and beyond. But that's because of because of the way you set your business up. That's got a pot of money that is its budget.
Yeah.
So getting an event off the ground, charity boxing nights has got a considerably bigger pot, but that pot and that pot are nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
So you've got budget, and therefore you're rolling your sleeves up and having to do a bit of everything and all that kind of stuff. You're having to hustle and sell tickets and do what it takes there. So you've got 2 totally different challenges, and then you get a bit pissed off about the hustle, but then the risk assessment on the venue, which is giving me an headache right now, and it's like there's just loads of different challenges, and then you've just got to be grateful for them all and enjoy it and embrace it and remember that. I mean, I think let me put it this way. I had this conversation with Jordan, who runs the event team, the other day, and I thought, could we get charity boxing nights off the ground now?
Yeah, if you was to start it again.
Yeah. Because of the economy, the climate, the costs of the event, as you know, are astronomical.
Yeah.
So then the answer would be no. We'd have a much smaller pot, a much smaller budget. We'd have to start small. Yeah. So then would there be the appetite to go through, say, year 1, year 2, year 3, where it was losing money? I would have to probably bridge it out of my business.
Yeah.
My business would probably have to bridge it and loan it the money and all that kind of stuff. And then, you're doing 3 years, the charity wouldn't be getting, it would get some donations and stuff. But would the appetite be there if, listen, £1,000 is a lot of money. It's a ton of money. But I think one of the appetites that keeps charity boxing nights going is, if the charity was getting £1,000 for all that effort, it'd be a bit like, oh, is it worth the? Yeah. We set up the Just Giving page 9 days ago.
Yeah.
27 grand on it already.
Nice.
And it's like, so would we be able to set that up? Who knows? And it's just an interesting journey, and it's an interesting journey, like you say, new concept, brand new. That provides a whole set of challenges. in some ways it's easier, in some ways it's harder.
Yeah.
This concept, a powerhouse concept, big budget, but also a ton of staff. Oh, there's photographer,
Yeah.
4 on the camera crew. So there's another 5 just on the media crew.
Yeah.
You know, so how many is that off the top of my head? That's probably 60 staff. Then there's the back of house crew with the whip and the, you know, and some of them aren't full time, of course. Some of them are just on the night and all that. But yeah,
but I think 10 years of doing, is it 10? Is this 11?
This is 9. This is 9. Next year is 10.
So, but 9 years of running that event, like you said, it's almost impossible to go, okay, if I was to start that today, so let's say, you know, pretty much a decade later with how things have changed financially and whatever, like you built up very good relationships. And I think that part is kind of crucial to the timing of starting the new one with the Reset Summit. Whilst it's a very different type of event, the relationships you built with the Hilton, which is where you're gonna be running it, you know, even from a cost point of view, you know, having built that relationship, that maybe I don't know, and you might tell me I'm wrong here, is probably giving you a better deal on the room and the setup and things than you might have got again if you were just setting up that from scratch.
Of course.
And they don't know who you are. They're like, well, the room's this much, right? And I think building those relationships is, you know, is crucial over time.
100%.
You know,
I mean, I'm going to stick the risk assessment up the Hilton's arse if they're not. You know what I mean? But of course, it comes down to pounds and pence, and you can push back and say, well, you know, listen, we've got lots of relationship. You're charging this. This is not just the Hilton, by the way. Just so you know, this is the lighting company, the media company, all of them. So yeah, it was just a little moment we had the other day where we were like, could we do this again? Would we want to? You know?
I think that brings up an interesting point. There's something I wanted to kind of go back to in a second, so I'll try and remind myself in a minute. But based on, you know, going off that, I've had that conversation. I was literally having it yesterday, even with my gym. You know, things change so fast in the fitness industry, especially. And I was out yesterday morning with an equipment guy, so gym equipment mate called Gym 80. I was looking at some pieces of kit, and so, you know, I meet up with him at a gym that they've recently stocked with all this kit. And, you know, the business meeting was great for me. The business meeting was just us having a workout and trying out all this equipment, because I'm looking at potentially buying some, you know, more equipment for the gym, and remodeling our gym model a little bit is on my mind. And we got talking about, you know, because he helped me with this gym and the equipment for this gym originally. So again, keeping that kind of good connection. He now works for a different gym brand. So I was like, look, let's see what kind of deal you can maybe get me on the new equipment that you've got. It's some interesting stuff. And we got talking about that, because even he was like, you know, he helped me out. And I actually, bizarrely enough, you know, I don't want to say like I was fucking a trendsetter, but him and the company I used were pretty much only doing, you know, hotel type gyms.
Yeah. And
when I came along, they started trying to mold what they thought my gym was going to look like. And I was like, no. This is how I want the gym to look. And I said, I want it to have you know, it's got to be Instagram friendly nowadays. It's got to look fucking cool. It's got to look this. And I kind of help them with their portfolio. Like they use my gym now. When anyone's in LA that are looking to maybe use this company to help them set up, they'll go and look at Hybrid. That's a gym we did. Now they've since started to do some really cool gyms, but it's all off the back of, I believe, me and my gym and the ideas I wanted for this gym. And whilst they helped me with a lot of red tape stuff, the coolness of the gym was kind of all me. And even he was saying, you know, if we did your gym again, you know, I would have probably suggested this, and this.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, if I did my gym again, I would definitely do X, Y, and Z. And even with the model, you know, I'm not sure, like, you know, personal training only gyms are becoming less and less. I feel they're becoming less and less common. You know, Ultimate Performance, who we all know fucking killed it, smashed it out of the park, and have done for the last 10 years or so. And there's a lot of gyms over the last 5 or 6 years kind of copied that model, but I wonder how much longer that model is going to last. In certain cities, it'll still always do well, but the model seems to be moving more towards bigger spaces, cheaper spaces.
Yeah.
Bit more of an open gym model again, but with personal training included. And it's interesting how it's all shifting and what I would do differently from a business model point of view versus what I did with this. But the same question comes up. Even if someone gave me a pot of money tomorrow, I'm like, fuck, would I want to start that again? Would I want to go off and build another gym? Potentially I have a bit of help, but a lot would be on my own again. Danny would obviously be super helpful. I have some good people on the team here, but it's kind of like that go again thought of like, okay, it's going to take another 3 to 5 years. I mean, this place isn't even where it needs to be yet, right? So not only am I still working on getting this place to where it needs to be, you start another one, you add another 3 to 5 years of getting that one fucking going. It's like it's a massive headache. And I think, like anything, when I give people advice on this stuff nowadays is if you get an opportunity to start this stuff when you're younger, fucking do it.
Yeah.
Because you will have that ability to just go and go and go again. If you don't get into doing the kind of things that I do until I did, which was in my 40s, the will to put and drive to keep going, it gets harder. Hence why you want to build it like, for you, going to be even harder, really, because your business is you and your name. So how would you end up having someone be Ric Moylan while you sit on the beach?
Laptop and phone.
That's what you're trying to do. Like, I'll say more at my age because I'm older than you, but at my age, that next 5 years is like, I don't want to be running the fucking day-to-day of the business. I don't want to be doing all this stuff. I love it, but I don't love it enough to be like, I would much rather get in a position where other people, and again, this comes back down to the point I wanted to ask you about. I don't know how I've seamlessly brought this in. I've actually done quite well here, but the trust to have a team to run my business the way I would like it to be run and to have it make money, which is the most important part, so that I can take a step back and do things that maybe are more, passion projects. It's easier to do a passion project when your main business is ticking over and making money, and you don't need to put, 40, 50, 60 hours a week into that. I would put 10 hours a week into hybrid to make sure things are okay. And then the rest of my time would be, okay, great. I can start looking at other things. I can start maybe, investing in small ideas, but having some actual clear focus on it because I know this is kind of taken care of. Yeah. So bringing it back down to the trust part for you, like what is your process? Because you said like, no matter who you put in positions to do things, you've got to trust them, but you also got to understand they're going to fuck up and probably make mistakes, and you've got to control it. Yep. Do you have any steps of like when you're starting to relinquish stuff to people that you think, because again, initially it's think you can trust. You don't know. The reason I'm asking you this is because I trust fucking nobody. And I don't mean that in a negative way. So if any of my team are listening, I do, but I don't. And it's not a personal thing. I just grew up with this complete lack of trust in anybody that, as to whether they actually have me or my business or anything, at the best of their fucking heart, if that will be. Because a lot of people don't. In the end, you get burnt a bit here and there. So being able to let go and not end up because my biggest problem is I knee jerk. The minute things start to go wrong, I just take it all back and do it myself. And what makes that even worse is, me and Danny run the business together. Danny is exactly the same as me on that shit. The minute people can't do it, she just does it herself. Yep. And you end up sucked back in, move away, sucked back in. So how do you? Because I think you manage this a lot better than I do. Obviously, our businesses are at very different stages. You know, you've built. I know some of the people that work with you, and you've known them for a long time. I've known them for a long time, like 10 years plus. So you probably built up a lot of it. But what was that like for you, giving things away, but then having to check and then having to go, oh fuck, this actually isn't being done. You know, what was that process like for you? Because it's fucking stressful as fuck for me. I hate
Fucking horrendous. It's horrible. Is probably two or three things to touch on here. The first thing is checking your own ego and getting your own ego out of the way.
Yeah.
And accepting that actually some people are better at some stuff than you are.
Yeah.
That's really hard to swallow. You know, whether that's, you know, from an event perspective. So Jordan, who helps me, who runs the event team, apart from the fact he's got tons of event production experience and tons of event contacts and all this at the other end, he's very creative, and there's three things straight away that I don't have. The fourth thing is he's insanely organized, and I am fucking chaotic at best. You know, which is considering, you know, I've got this self-given title of performance coach. I'm not sure where chaos and that go together. You know what I mean?
Well, I like to go with the term like organized chaos. It's your chaos.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
When it's your chaos, you're in charge of it. So it's all good.
The Red Bull Europe Performance Squad used to have this saying, "Embrace the chaos." And just so we're clear, I fucking embrace it. I, you know, absolutely chaotic as fuck, because he's totally organized and all that. So you have to get out your own way. You have to accept that you've got a skill set that some people have got a better skill set than you have in that particular field. But then what it comes down to is training, and it's all about having a framework. Like my main program is called MAPS, so it's like everything kind of falls under that. Really, it's all to do with having a roadmap. Now, I had this argument with a consultancy that I had a couple of years ago. Didn't end well, and they took umbrage to some basic tasks that their team couldn't do.
Yeah.
Now, in the owner's mind, these tasks were super basic, and he's right. They were super basic tasks. I said, as I was a consultant, there was his team, not mine. I said, have you shown them how to do it? And the answer was, well, they should fucking know. And I said, no. Have you shown them not only how to do it, but how you want them to do it?
Yeah.
Those two things are absolutely crucial. Yeah. And then arguably, particularly with staff and, again, depending on business size and all that kind of stuff, you then almost, and this is what I do, I literally have a blueprint of how I want it done. So, and that's, for example, something like with the event team. We know what kind of walkout musics we like. We know what kind of, obviously the fighters pick their own, but we guide them on what we deem acceptable, not acceptable. We know what kind of production we like on the videos and so forth like that. So if it goes wrong, or should I say when it goes wrong, because it will go wrong. It comes down to skill versus will from the person who's done it wrong.
Yes.
Have they been shown and taught and trained and supported and guided? And then when it's gone wrong, are they given the right feedback? And then the loop continues, support, guidance, training, etc., etc. And if they go wrong, but they've tried their best, the will is there. We can give them a bit more skills, and blah blah blah, and we can improve them, and we can guide them, and we can nurture them on the path that we want them to take, how we want it to be done. If it's gone wrong because they can't be asked, that there's a lack of will there, it's nothing to do with the training. It's nothing to do with they didn't understand it, or the communication was poor, or any of that. They just couldn't be asked. It was fucking shoddy in England. That's an English word, and it's shoddy, or low effort level. That's a one-time only. That's a one-time only thing. Now, I will always revert back to my communication. Okay, you've not put a load of effort in. It's fucking shit. It's cost us. Did I communicate it really, really, really clearly? Did I communicate my expectations? And have I been clear on where my standards are, what I expect? I'll run the whole process again.
Yeah.
I'll then make sure I get full agreement, and often, because of the shit world we live in now, often written agreement,
Yes.
some sort of acknowledgement back, whether it's an email or a signature or whatever, that I want that water drinking in a certain way.
Yeah.
Because it's my business, it's my events. We've got proven concepts in the past that this works, because everybody always knows better than you.
Yeah, I mean, you hit like, I don't want to cut you off there, but what you're talking about on events is exactly the way I talk about our personal training products.
Yep.
Because I have systems for everything.
Yep.
And it's been proven that they work. I didn't invent the systems, right? I've adjusted them, but the systems come from much smarter people than me, and I know they work because I have years and years of experience of seeing them work. And I do the same thing as you. It comes down to I go, okay, have I educated this well enough? Have I taught it well enough? The systems in place easy enough to follow. Like I have the systems, all of our systems. It's not a manual anymore because it's all on Google Drive. But for want of a better word, businesses used to have a systems manual,
Ops manual and all that. Yeah.
Mine's literally called idiot proof. My goal is to idiot proof everything, and clearly, I can't make it idiot proof enough, because we still have lots of problems. But it's the same old thing. I try to get to a point where it's either an education problem and a communication problem, and I'm not doing that clear enough, or is it an attitude problem? But if it's an attitude problem, I can't fucking fix that.
Yeah, and you won't. I'm not even going to try. Yeah,
I'm not wasting my time enough on that. Yeah. If there's anything I can do to get you to get this any better, and like I say, what sits in the middle, and this is where I think my trust issues are a problem, right? I can spot a clear attitude problem, because that's just someone who's clearly not doing anything the way I want it to be done. And then obviously you've got the side of people who follow the systems and do their best, but maybe don't have the skills. So the effort's there, but they're just not skillful enough at whatever that is. And then I'm like, okay, I can reward effort, but we still need to develop skills.
Yep.
Then you've got the middle ground of the people who don't quite have the skills, don't have an attitude. They do support you, but the effort's not quite what it needs to be.
Yeah.
And that middle ground is where I find the hardest to progress that individual. Because no one likes to hear that their effort's not good enough. And no one likes to hear that they're not skillful enough. But I still believe that if you've got someone who still has a vision of wanting to climb the ladder or help you and be a bigger part of your organization, you can still help that person. It's just that's the most difficult person to help. I believe.
It's like an area of no man's land, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're in that real middle ground, aren't you?
Because it's really hard to stay positive with that person, as well as, and again, where the attitude part can come in is a little bit like, okay, are you going to take on board my feedback? Let's call it. Let's not call it criticism anymore. Of the effort's not quite where it needs to be, and the skill isn't quite where it needs to be. But these are the things we can try and do to improve that. And are we taking the right steps to improve that? And then monitoring that, and how long do you fucking monitor that for before you go, okay, this person's either going to move towards the side of the fucking fence you want them on, which is, okay, efforts improving, skills improving, which for me all comes under experience. They're just actually getting more experienced at it. And now now it's getting easier. Effort kind of improves. I think effort can come with sometimes how hard is it. And if you get more skilled, you don't need quite as much effort, because it becomes easier to do. Or they go the other way. They don't continue to get more skilled. Things get harder. Effort gets even less. And then you go towards, okay, this is the nature. You're not going to go any further. I do struggle, and I do try to pride myself on being able to help and grow anybody, and I guess sometimes it's to a fault, because I do find it difficult to give up on people, but it is kind of stressful when you kind of like, fuck, like there's just sometimes you just know that some people are just not going to have that thing.
Absolutely not.
And maybe not ever, maybe just in your organization. Maybe for I've known people that I have scratched my head with and gone, I don't know fucking why this isn't working. And again, this wasn't necessarily within my own business. So obviously when it's someone else's business, I'm running with their systems, their way of doing things. Someone else is the owner, so they kind of put their stamp of authority on it. And for whatever reason, it just doesn't work. And you see them go off and work somewhere else, and all of a sudden they do really well. Maybe they get on better with that manager, that systems. Yeah. Maybe it's a little easier. Maybe there's a little less pressure and standards to live up to. And all of a sudden they fucking grow. They just came into a place that they weren't ready for, and struggled and failed. So, it's a really for me, training someone up to then entrust them is probably what I found one of the fucking hardest things, especially as it pertains to like the fitness industry, because there's not a lot of people really want to do the fucking dirty work, if you will, but they kind of want the title and the career progression. It's trying to get across that. And again, I think what you just hit the nail on the head with is the communication of, do you really know what that actually encompasses and means? Because I think and you'll be the same as me, but my if I was to kind of write down the rule book for a business owner or a gym manager or whatever, this is your job role versus the job role they think it is. And every time I've had that conversation, it's two very different things. I send someone who wants to step up the ladder. I'll go, okay, this is the role you want. Here's the job description. Tell me if it matches what you think your role is going to be. And very often it's like there's a ton of things on the task list that I don't think they thought was going to be on them. And it's like, oh shit, right, okay. Mate, and that's where the skill part comes in. It's like, okay, these are the skills you're going to have to develop.
Mate, the thing is though, not everyone can be a 10 out of 10, can they? Not everyone's elite, and I would argue I'm not elite at anything.
No, 100%. I'm not. I know that.
Yeah, but you can give your best, and but then even if you're sort of steady Eddie and you get your 7 out of 10 every day, you're still entitled to a bad day as well, and you're entitled you're entitled to a bad week, and you're only human and all that kind of stuff. So no one's perfect, and no one's seeking perfection. For me, it's about being able to, if a mistake happens, it's about being able to own it. It's about being adult enough to say, because we live in a blame culture, and maybe that's a tangent we could pick up another time.
But don't set me off.
Exactly.
We're close to the end of this podcast to start. On blame. I'll be sat here on my own for another hour.
Talking to yourself. I fucked up, but I fucked up because you did this, or I fucked up because you said this, and so we've got that, and so if someone can own it and say, fuck, that didn't go well, I own it, I accept it, I was trained, or I was shown, or whatever, and I chose to do this. Here's the reasons why. Blah blah blah. It didn't work. And by the way, we're both, and we talked about this previously, we both got our own systems and way of doing things, but we're both open to feedback, and we're both open to still tweaking them and all that kind of stuff. So we don't want robots, and we don't want an echo chamber where everyone's like, yes, sir, no, sir. We always want to grow and evolve. But I think if someone can own it, accept it, learn from it, and grow, then we move forward. But it is challenging, particularly like you say with the people at either end of the spectrum. It's kind of arguably it's a bit easier, isn't it? Yeah. But the ones in the middle, like you say, like you've touched on, that's difficult for me as a leader, a business owner, a manager, all those kind of different hats, role model. I need to look at myself and say, where could I have done better? Because there's always areas I could do better. But then equally, if they've had that chance, we've done all the work again, and they've done it again, and then that to me is a decision. That's a decision that's been made. Yeah. And I come down on that very, very hard. Now, I don't enjoy, as I'm sure you don't, like you say, you just said you never want to give up on people. You want to put faith in them. You want to help them. You want to grow, all those kind of things. But then eventually, if they make a decision and they repeat that decision at detriment to my business, I will. For me, a key component of leadership is the ability for me then to make a decision, and the decision is I will drop the axe, and that is that.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
because the trust is broken then.
Yeah, I think 100%. I think, like, you know, even if I think the one lesson I'm trying to teach everybody when they want to really step up into, you know, more senior roles, where they're now in charge of things or people or sales or revenue, whatever it might fucking be, is like, even if there is blame, because sometimes there is. Like, I always try. I don't like excuses. I have a big fucking spiel that I do every now and again in team education that I'm like, I don't want to fucking hear an excuse. And I don't even want you to change the wording to, well, but it's a reason then. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. What's the solution, right? Yeah. Because even if there's blame, and sometimes there is, sometimes you be doing your fucking best job, something happens and you're like, fuck, you've just fucking done that. Do you know how much that's just cost me? So I can blame somebody, but I've still got to fix it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bit that I try to, like, cool, that was someone else's fault. Could you have done that any differently? Maybe not. But how are you going to fix it? Because it still needs fixing.
Correct.
And I think that's the bit. I think what bugs me when people use blame, sometimes without going on a tangent, it's almost it's not my fault and there's nothing I can do about it. Blame. I'm like, it might not have been your fault, but there's still something we can do about it, because we have to do something about it, right? I can't go to the landlord and be like, this happened. Like, we got a big fucking, it's not big, but we got an unexpected tax bill last month. I was like, and my accountant is fucking blasé. We'll finish on this a little bit, but fucking blasé go, can I pay this? I'm like, what? Like, first of all, where the fuck's the tax bill come from and why? And no, you can't pay it on like 24 hours fucking notice, because it's the end of the month and I don't have the fucking money. When's the latest I can pay? He's like, well, you might get a little fine if we leave it another month or so. So I'll take the little fine and I'll pay it next month.
Yep.
But I can't go to my landlord and go, oh, fuck, I'm a bit short on rent this month.
Yeah.
Tax bill. So whilst that tax bill coming in, and again, there's no blame for that, but I didn't know, I wasn't aware of it, my accountant didn't fucking forewarn me, I can be like, well, that's no one's fault, but I've still got to find the money to fix it.
Correct.
Right? And you know, another bit, things like this. And I think it's that understanding that you can be pissed off. You can be like, what the fuck? Like, how come that happened? But I've still got to find a way to fix it. And that's the mentality I struggle to implement in people sometimes. Is that it doesn't matter whose fault it was. It doesn't matter if it could have been controlled. It doesn't matter if a fucking meteor comes down and fucking blows up half the fucking street. I still have to pay my fucking bills.
It's a diminishing mentality, mate. That's why you struggle with it, because it's a mentality that, obviously, I'm not stateside, right? But I'm talking about in the UK. I can't talk about it on stateside. You're way more qualified to talk about that than I am.
It'll be no different. I don't even know what you're going to say, but it'll be no different.
Mate, Jocko Willink, who's a bit, you know, G.I. Joe and all that kind of stuff, but ultimately his tagline, his ultimate tagline nails it, calls it extreme ownership, doesn't it? Yeah. And we have to take ownership. You know, so whether that's whatever level you're at on an event or a business or whatever, if you're given a task to do, you take ownership of it, you get it done, you do it to the best of your ability. If it doesn't work out, you learn from it, you grow, you do it better next time.
Yeah.
For us, we have to take ownership of, we're not playing the instrument, you know, the instruments, we're conducting the orchestra. Yeah. And we've got to take ownership of that. And when things go wrong, when things go right, we take ownership of that. But when things go wrong, we have to take our share of ownership of that as well. But then equally, if all the steps are in place, it's then down to the member of staff to take ownership. If they can take ownership, I think we can move forward out of that middle ground or that grey area. If they can't take ownership or won't take ownership, I think that's often the end of the road.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think we should, let's wrap it up there. That was a good place to end, because it is at some point the answer to the problem has to become black and white. And I think the best business owners, the best leaders can get to that spot with their business, their people, or whatever, and make decisions quicker. I think I take that stuff from sport as well and things like that. I think the elite of the elite let things go, but also make quick decisions and move forward with that decision. And I think I class myself, I've been managing gyms and leadership for years, but I still class myself as on the learning curve of a lot of this stuff, especially as a business owner for the last sort of 6 years or so. I think learning to trust yourself is also crucial in making decisions and moving on with them. And that's somewhere that I think I can definitely develop and do better on. But no, I mean, we could, considering how much we're planned today, that topic could go on. But let's leave it there for today. There was some good stuff in that even sometimes these sessions turn into a bit of a therapy session for me, because I go away and go, I need to fucking sort that shit out, because I don't do that very well. Or I do that quite well and not this. So.
We talked about ego before, and as much as neither of us like it, we are not perfect. We might think we are, but we're not.
No. Well, I'll reserve judgment on that. But
anyway, perfect in many things, but we'll leave it at that.
Depends what we're talking about.
Good to talk to you, mate. As always, guys, we've been the Winning Edge podcast. I'm Rick. He's Jon. We'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you.